No, you never want to dismiss the winning. I don't want to dismiss that at all. I thought that was good for us at the beginning of the season. The buy-in was great. The energy was great to start the season, and we did everything the right way. We kind of continued from the year before. Where I thought we got discombobulated was after DeMar went down. I thought our defense took a huge hit, and I take accountability for it, and the fact that we kind of got away from some of our defensive principles, trying to do some different things to hide some weaknesses that we had. And again, when you do that, you kind of get disheveled a little bit defensively, and we never recovered from that. We became a high efficiency offensive team. How, I don't know, because playing that up and down style, quick shots, is not conducive to championship basketball and winning in the half court game, which with what it gets into. We were winning games, but at some point, and we had an identity playing that way that was winning, but yet and still in the back of my mind I knew it wasn't going to be successful, or I had a feeling it wasn't going to be successful in playoffs. Experience we had in Seattle playing that way, the up and down, and then get to the playoffs, it slows down. So we never recover from that, and again, I take accountability on not establishing that offensive style of play that we should have had.
Do you think the success that the team did have playing that style of offense maybe made the players a false sense of confidence in?
No question. That's exactly what happened. And for all of us, we had a false sense of security because we were winning early in the season, playing that way after DeMar went down. But again, we never got our roots back into our defensive side of the ball, and it continued, and never could get the horse back into the barn. And believe me, it's not from the lack of working at it, talking about it, preaching about it. Again, we just couldn't get it done, and it told on us. Eventually, told on us in the playoffs. But again, I'm not taking away from anything from our players, because we did win 49 games, won the division, which is nothing to sneeze at. We hit a hot part of our schedule after the All-Star break. Some hot teams. The schedule wasn't good to us after the All-Star break, but again, there's no excuse. We really didn't hold it together after the All-Star break.
And everything's a learning experience. What are you hoping that your players learn from this experience?
Well, we all learn. We, from top to bottom, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players, we all have to learn from this, from what we went through. That you're never as good as you think you are. You're never bad as you think you are. And we weren't as good as we thought we were at the beginning of the year. And again, I don't think we were as bad as we ended the season. We're somewhere in between. I do know that some guys improved, probably not to the level of what we want them to, but I could see growth and improvement in a lot of our players. Terrence Ross, and probably didn't show in his shooting, but his recognition of situations, of how to play situations, improved after he went from the bench to coming back playing, and just told him that his growth improved. Now, his consistency with his shooting didn't, but I thought his defensive growth got better as the season went on.
A lot of the younger guys spoke after last year about getting that first playoff experience under their belt. Is that something that now takes a few years and a little bit more experience to fully kind of get the added level that you need to bring come playoff time?
Josh, that's a good point, but two, there's a level you got to play at the entire year to be ready for it. And I don't think we played at that level. I think we kind of took that for granted. And once we established the first part of the season, the winning part, I think we kind of took practice as punishment, and it's not. And we talked a lot of times as a coaching staff of, we're doing this to get ready for the playoffs. This is a type of hard practice we got to have to get us ready for the playoffs. And I don't know if it's sunk in totally.
There will be calls for substantial change, and there will be calls for you to be changed. How do you speak to that in the light of what's happened and what happened in the regular season?
Well, one thing, Doug, I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of where we are as in the process of our organization as a team. I said it all year. We're a growing team, not necessarily a young team, but a team that's young together. I mean, last year was the start of the process of, all right, we're building, rebuilding, playing for whatever we're doing. We took off. We got things together. We took off, made the playoffs, won the division, and it's probably a year too quick from where we really actually were as a team. And we set expectations out of the roof. We had to embrace it. You have to be accountable for it, and we take that. I say that you look at our track record as a coaching staff, we got better every year. The record got better, players got better. I would say DeMar DeRozan has grown over the time we've been here. So, fans, you have the right to say that. People expect that and should. We all should be accountable. But again, I know I'm very confident. I know what it takes to build a winning team. We went from 30th in the NBA to 12th or 9th or whatever it was in defense. Haven't forgot how to do that. We just got to make sure we have the right pieces, the right leadership, the right togetherness to be a good defensive team.
Part of it, the player change is inevitable. Do you see it as needing to be substantial?
Well, that's something that, we're all going to sit down and talk about. Masai and his staff are going to evaluate it. I think it's too early, after emotional loss last night, getting whooped the way we did last night, it's hard to go to say what or who exactly should be here or go. I think you have to look at the body of work of each player and what he brings to the table, more so than the last, part of the season, the last series. Again, you got injuries. You have a lot of things that factor into it, more so than, one series or one game or one group of games, if that makes sense.
What was missing from this team this year?
What was missing? Our defense. That's bottom line. I thought we got better offensively. We worked ad nauseum at the beginning in training camp to be better offensively, to play with a little bit of pace, probably too much of a pace for my liking or for your defense's liking. And I thought, our defense suffered from it, and from us getting better offensively. And I know this kind of works against each other, but I thought that's what happened. We shot quicker, which compromises your defense on the other end. And we never got that balance, and that was something we struggled with the entire year. Again, that adversity is going to be a great lesson for all of us going into training camp.
Could you use the veteran presence to help deal with that adversity? You talked about the tough spell after the All-Star break and trying to get back to your game plan.
Right.
Could you use that veteran?
Well, we have some veterans in the locker room. They have to be verbal. And we've told the players that, speak up when you see something, say something, be a leader vocally. We have a lot of guys that lead by example, but sometimes you have to be verbal in the locker room, and we have some of that. And we got to have some guys to step up and do that. They're at that stage of their career that they can do it, and be that type of leader.
Second half of Kyle's season was very different than the first. He wouldn't really acknowledge injury or anything else. Do you think it was injury fatigue? What?
Well, everybody goes through injury. We went through it. That was part of some of our performance. The guys not playing at the level they had, especially Kyle. I don't know how quickly DeMar came back from his injury, or as far as his confidence level in his body coming back. It took him a little while. I thought the last month he was playing at a high rate offensively, and I thought that's when he got his legs back, his rhythm back offensively. And injuries are part of the NBA, and that's something you got to learn to play with. Next man up, the next guy behind is probably complaining about playing time. He's got to be able to step up and take advantage of it. And but that injuries is a part of the NBA that we got to adjust for and play through some of it when it's not when you're not really hurt.
Given Kyle's physical, aggressive style of play, do you think he can make it through a full season playing at the level that he was in November and December?
I think he can. I think Kyle, once he got hurt, it really set him back. I don't know if he got his conditioning back that he had prior to his injuries the last few weeks of the season. And I think that once he gets back this summer, drop some weight, get his weight down, get his body in the high level that he came into the training camp with last year, he can play through an 82-game schedule.
Training camp last year, you mean training camp
This season, 214 training camp back in Vancouver. He came in great shape from he spent the whole month in August in Vegas, came in. His weight was down. But again, after his injury, it was tough to get back in that tip-top condition that he needed to be to be ready for the intensity of a playoff series.
Coach, what's your relationship with Kyle like? What did you tell him after this series, this tough series for him?
We just met a few minutes ago. I mean, that's another thing. Kyle's and our relationship, we're a family. In families, you have good times, you have bad times, but you're family. You have that understanding. Kyle's and I's relationship is good. We talk a lot. We communicate a lot. And again, with any relationship, you're not always going to be on the same, and you don't want to be always on the same page. But it's nothing. There's no animosity or any bad feelings in our relationship. It's a player-coach relationship. He understands what we have to do. Again, it's nothing there.
You're not beside, but you've got that ring on your finger, which means you know what it takes to win a championship.
Yeah, the ring didn't do us any good last night. I reward to try to give us a little boost, but it didn't. So,
in terms of addition by subtraction, do you hope that there isn't a major move in terms of any star players, in terms of your own job, in terms of the coaching staff?
right. Well, my job is what it is. I can't control that. That's going to be out of my hands, or my control. I'm very confident in the body of work that we've done here to take the program where it's been to where it is now, and to go to wherever else we need to go. I think as far as player change, that's we're going to evaluate that as a group. And Masai, that's going to be his decision. Again, this group, I think I will ride with how this team has developed. And again, not measuring it on one tough playoff series where we win against a hot team. We got to give Washington a little credit. I mean, I was talking to Randy Whitman after the game. He's talking about how this is the best they played in the entire year. So they made every big shot. And again, I thought we were emotionally spent. We didn't have any gas in the tank in that last game. And that was probably the most disappointing thing, because all year we fought and scrapped in games like that, and very few games did we just get spanked the way we got spanked last night.
DeMar was saying in terms of the communication that because the team was so close off the court, that when it came to on the court, that maybe guys were hesitant to cuss out a guy that was so close to them, that's a friend essentially.
Well, that communication, but that's part of leadership. Sometimes you have to do that. I get on guys all the time. You feel bad about it, but you have to do it. And, that's part of being a leader. You have to communicate that. You've got to tell a guy when he's wrong, or when you want to put him in his place, to give him good advice. And you may have to yell at a guy. I've seen it so many times, and then the guys go out for dinner after the game. So that's part of being a leader. That's part of DeMar that's his next level of leadership. That's Amir's next level of leadership. They've been here. They've seen the work has gone in to get our defense in the top 10 in the NBA. They know what it takes. Now, that's up to them to speak up and let them know, hey, this is what this is about. Last night is what happens when you don't commit or you're not connected, when you don't communicate. So,
what was the major lesson for you from the whole year? It kind of went up and down. You started real well. But what's the takeaway for you?
even though you're winning, to me, my one area what I didn't do a good job of was of establishing an offensive style. Now, that sounds crazy. We were in the top 10 with offensive efficiency, but establishing a style of play offensively that will help our defense. And that's, as a staff, that's something, we'll go to the drawing board and make sure we establish a tempo, a pace, a shot selection that helps your defense. And I thought a lot of our defensive woes was connected directly to our our shot selection, our quick shots, make or miss. You know, you've got to establish a style of play that will help get you back in defense, get your jerseys back where you're 5-on-5 more so than in transition or coming back frustrated because you didn't touch the ball. That it's a lot of things that go into that. Quick shots. You know, a guy over here may think, okay, you got to get the ball inside. You got to get the ball over on this side of the floor. I'm open. Now he goes back to the other end, frustrated, not fully committed to the defensive end. So we've got to establish a style of play offensively and still score now. Don't get me wrong. That's why they have a scoreboard. But an offense that is conducive to the style of defense we have to play.
Do you feel like the offense, you need to have more people feel like they're involved on every possession?
No question. I totally feel like we've got to get something where, you know, a guy can touch the ball at least every third time down the floor to stay engaged, to stay committed. Again, we got criticized a few years ago about having an ugly offense, you know, stagnant offense, but we're playing defense. But we got to get a one that fits our defensive style of play.
I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but Lou was speaking earlier, almost sounded like he said that he was saying there was a little redundancy at times to the roster, perhaps because guys are fighting for minutes, and there's a lot of guys that play similar positions, similar styles. Is that A, a fair comment, and B, how much of a challenge was it then for you to try and balance having similar parts, but yet trying to keep everyone happy?
That's a fair comment, because there's a lot of, you know, there's times where it was just almost impossible to get meaningful minutes for 5 wing guys. Again, it's a good problem and a bad problem. It's a bad problem for that guy who's kind of left out in the dust, and the guy I feel for is James Johnson. You know, he's probably the most talented player on our roster, but it's just impossible to cut in on Lou's time, Terrence's time, Kyle's time, and DeMar's time, and Gravis's time when you have all those guys in those perimeter positions. You know, he was kind of the odd man out, you know, in that. So, again, it's tough to get all those guys minutes, and when you have similar, some guys have strengths, some guys have weaknesses at those positions that you're trying to take care of as the game goes on. So it made it difficult at times, but it's a good problem.
The same maybe in the front court to some extent with Amir,
Tyler, yeah, same thing, a little bit of the same thing. A good problem, but you know, the guy that's odd man out is probably saying it's a problem.